Today is April 16th. Welcome to Big Book Daily. My name is Rob. I am an alcoholic. It is a thrill, honor, and joy to be here with you today as we journey through the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous and the 12 Steps and 12 Traditions. Today out of the Big Book, we're on Chapter 7, Working with Others. We'll read page 92. Out of the 12 and 12, we're on Step 12. We'll read page 115. And of course, we'll read the 24 Hours a Day and Daily Reflection. So with that, hope y'all are doing well this morning, my friends. Life is good over here. They're actually giving snow today in the rolling hills of Tennessee. It started off at 60-some degrees this morning, and then by the evening, it's going to drop low enough for it to actually snow. Now, will any of it stick? Probably not, but it'll still be really pretty to see it. But you know what? I'm getting ahead of myself. It's still morning time, right? So let's go ahead and get to the good stuff. All right, my friends. So if you recall from yesterday's reading in Chapter 7, basically we're, to sum it up, let's not preach to the guy. You know, there's a lot of different scenarios of if he's not wanting to talk much, talk about your own story, or, you know, there's a lot of scenarios here. And I'm so thankful that they mentioned so many because everyone's a little bit different. And when we're working with others, we have to sometimes read the room and see what it is we need to do to help this person, because to be useful is our only aim in this situation. So we'll start off on the bottom of page 91 and read 92. When he sees that you know all about the drinking game, commence to describe yourself as an alcoholic. Tell him how baffled you were, how you finally learned that you were sick. Give him an account of the struggles that you made to stop. Show him the mental twist which leads to the first drink of a spree. We suggest that you do this as we have done in the chapter on alcoholism. If he is an alcoholic, he will understand you at once. He will match your mental inconsistencies with some of his own. If you're satisfied that he is a real alcoholic, begin to dwell on the hopeless feature of the malady. Show him, from your own experience, how the queer mental condition surrounding that first drink prevents normal functioning of the willpower. Don't at this stage refer to this book, unless he's seen it and wishes to discuss it. And be careful not to brand him as an alcoholic. Let him draw his own conclusion. If he sticks to the idea that he can still control his drinking, tell him that he possibly can, if he's not too alcoholic. But insist that if he is severely afflicted, there may be little chance that he can recover by himself. Continue to speak of alcoholism as an illness, a fatal malady. Talk about the conditions of the body and mind which accompany it. Keep his attention focused mainly on your personal experience. Explain that many are doomed who never realize their predicament. Doctors are rightly loath to tell alcoholic patients the whole story unless it will serve some good purpose. But you may talk to him about the hopelessness of alcoholism because you offer a solution. You will soon have your friend admitting that he has many, if not all, of the traits of an alcoholic. If his own doctor is willing to tell him that he is an alcoholic, so much the better. Even though your protege may not have entirely admitted his condition, he has become very curious to know how you got well. Let him ask you that question, if you will. Tell him exactly what happened to you. Stress the spiritual feature freely. If the man be agnostic or atheist, make it emphatic that he does not have to agree with your conception of God. He can choose any conception he likes, provided it makes sense to him. The main thing is that he be willing to believe in a power greater than himself, and that he live by spiritual principles. Out of the 12 and 12, we're on Step 12. Having had a spiritual awakening as a result of these steps, we try to carry this message to alcoholics and practice these principles in all our affairs. Page 115. After we come into AA, if we go on growing, our attitudes and actions towards security, emotional and financial security commenced to change profoundly. Our demand for emotional security for our own way had constantly thrown us into unworkable relations with other people. Though we were sometimes quite unconscious of this, the result always had been the same. Either we had tried to play God and dominate those about us, or we insisted on being overdependent upon them. Where people had temporarily let us run their lives as though they were still children, we had felt very happy and secure ourselves. But when they finally resisted or ran away, we were bitterly hurt and disappointed. We blamed them, being quite unable to see that our unreasonable demands had been the cause. When we had taken the opposite tack and had insisted, like infants ourselves, that people protect and take care of us, or that the world owed us a living, then the result had been equally unfortunate. This often caused the people that we loved the most to push us aside, or perhaps desert us entirely. Our disillusionment had been hard to bear. We couldn't imagine people acting that way towards us. We had failed to see that, though adult in years, we were still behaving childishly, trying to turn everybody, friends, wives, husbands, even the world itself, into protective parents. We had refused to learn the very hard lesson that overdependence upon people is unsuccessful because all people are fallible. And even the best of them will sometimes let us down, especially when our demands for attention become unreasonable. "24 hours a day, April 16th. AA thought for the day. In AA, we have insurance. Our faith in God is a kind of insurance against terrible things that might happen to us if we ever drink again. But putting our drinking problem in the hands of God, we've taken out a sort of insurance policy, which insures us against the ravages of drink, as our homes are insured against destruction by fire. Am I paying my AA insurance premiums regularly? Meditation for the day. I must try to love all humanity. Love comes from thinking of every man or woman as your brother or sister, because they're children of God. This way of thinking makes me care enough about them to really want to help them. I must put this kind of love into action by serving others. Love means no severe judging, no resentments, no malicious gossip, and no destructive criticism. It means patience, understanding, compassion, and helpfulness. Prayer for the day. I pray that I may realize that God loves me, since He is the Father of us all. I pray that I may in turn have love for all of His children. Daily Reflection, April 16th. Anger, a dubious luxury. If we were to live, we had to be free of anger. The grouch and the brainstorm were not for us. They may be the dubious luxury of normal men, but for alcoholics, these things are poison. Alcoholics Anonymous, page 66. Dubious luxury. How often have I remembered those words? It's not just anger that's best left to non-alcoholics. I built a list, including justifiable resentment, self-pity, judgmentalism, self-righteousness, false pride, and false humility. I'm always surprised to read the actual quote. So well have the principles of the program been drummed into me that I keep thinking all of these defects are listed too. Thank God I can't afford them, or I surely would indulge in them. All right, my friends, that concludes today's reading. And first of all, out of the big book, I absolutely love that, once again, we hadn't seen the italics in a little while, but right on page 93, it says here, tell him exactly what happened to you. So that's the nice thing, when we don't know what else to say, hey, tell your story. What's happened to you? And then a little further down, we see the italics again, 3 times in one paragraph. Must have been an expensive paragraph in that first printing. But it says, he does not have to agree with your conception of God. That's another cool thing, right? These whole spiritual principles, these are a very, very broad category, where a Buddhist or an atheist or agnostic or a Christian can still practice these principles and live a life of integrity, regardless of whatever religious sway you may have, if you have one in the first place. And then finally, right here, the main thing is that he be willing to believe in a power greater than himself, and that he would live by spiritual principles. The willingness right there, that's a big one. Being honest enough with ourselves, being open-minded, and being willing to believe in something greater than ourselves. And I was always told, hey, you don't have to believe in my higher power. You just have to believe that maybe something greater than you, Rob, can help you. Why not start off with the group itself? My sponsor would say, all you got to do is look around the room and you see evidence right before you of people who are sober. Why not listen to what they have to say at first? And then, who knows, maybe you can take the next spiritual step. Maybe that tunnel vision will get a little bit wider and wider and wider. And before long, who knows what kind of higher power you might believe in. But it all starts out with just believing in something slightly stronger than me. And that's where step 2 takes place, right? Some beautiful stuff there. And then finally, the 24 hours a day. Looking at the entire world, everybody around us, as God's children. Easier said than done, right? Because some of us are making some weird choices in life. But even then, if I look at them as God's children, and if I look at myself as a son of my higher power, I can speak a lot more gentle to people. I know for me, I really didn't have a hard time forgiving other people. I could usually forgive them pretty quickly, but I had a hard time forgiving myself. And I was told one time, Rob, why don't you speak to yourself like you would your 5-year-old son? Because words cast spells. Maybe that's where spelling comes from, right? But they can. And whether they're positive or negative, those words can lead to decisions and agreements that could eventually lead to actions in a positive or negative sense. But if I talk to myself, say like this, you know what, Rob? You're human, man. What can you learn from this? What did the steps tell you can do about this situation? All right, man, get right back on it. You're still loved. This doesn't change that. Just keep going and just keep growing. I don't know. It's a whole lot better than what I used to say to myself. But I won't get into that. Guys, if you are sober today, I hope you know that you're a miracle. And those who love you are very proud of you. And if you're not sober, I hope you know that you're a miracle as well. That you are a child of God. And that your story is not done yet. And you're worthy of recovery. I just pray that you get the help that you need today. And as always, my friends, I don't speak on behalf of AA, NA, Al-Anon, any other sect. I am just a joyful drunk in this lifeboat of recovery, honored to be here. And if we're given another set of 24 hours, I sincerely look forward to seeing you right back here tomorrow.